Well folks, welcome back to the workshop again. Another week, another bunch of broken machines. Now last week we tackled this shelf, got that cleared, but that's filled up again now. Now where else do we start? We've got a few boxes and a few buckets of tools. More boxes there, and more up top. We're just going to have to work through them slowly. So we'll tackle this shelf next. The question is, what do we start with? Right, we'll start off with hopefully something simple. New chuck. So Milwaukee M12 Drill. This is the M12 BPD. And it is in need of a chuck, because it is completely stuck. I don't know if he was keeping this here on a boat or something. Salt water, but that is rusted solid and not moving. Right, screw in the centre, get out the centre screw and remove the chuck. Might chance hitting this with an Allen key because there's only a brushed motor, there's only a wee DC motor inside, not brushless. So it might come off easily. Might even chance a nut gun on it. But first, we have to get this chuck opened up. Now to open it, do whatever you like, as long as it works. I just use a vice sometimes to grab the chuck and put the drill on low speed. That is jammed. Doesn't want to budge. Get a wee bit of Wonder 40 in here. Might loosen it up. Battery's going now on top of it. Got to charge that up. But I think we got it opened. Yeah. That'll do. We'll get it out of that. So now we just got ourselves a slippery chuck. Sounds like a horrible drink. Right bit, but no, it's not the right bit, it's a P3. See if a 3's better. There we go. The right bit for the right screw. Right, see if we can get the thing off now. I'm just going to give it a wee swing, give it a try, see if it comes off. If it takes too much force, I'm going to leave it. Don't want to put it down on the bench as well because I don't want to put holes in it yet. Nah, don't want to hit it any harder than that. The worst thing about it, she bound up on me as well. And the chuck wouldn't move again, couldn't open it up. Right, we'll cut it off instead. You can also dismantle it, but cutting's quicker sometimes. Plus it's less hassle and less risk. Seems very deep. And go about there. polished the spindle, but we didn't cut through it at least. Now we just want to cut down one side. I'm not totally through them threads. You have to just get the threads actually split down the middle. Once they're still connected, they're still tight. Doesn't matter how much you cut off. You have to get through the center to break the hold. That's it. That's how much damage we done. Right, that was a wee bit annoying. Came off handy enough, but the thread I'm left with is not what I was expecting. Looked up the diagram for Milwaukee, but they don't tell you the details in the chucks. They just give you a part number, and that's it. Don't tell you the size or anything. And the actual chuck from Milwaukee costs about 40 or 50 euro for the speed drill. Too expensive. If I go into other sites to look it up, one other site gave the chuck as a part, but they listed it as a 13mm half-inch chuck, standard chuck basically. But this ain't. As I was wondering, it's only a wee 12 volt drill and a 10mm chuck on it, so it's a strange one to have a half-inch thread on it. Clearly it doesn't, so the other site wasn't right. So if you're looking to change one of these, just a standard 10mm thread chuck, that's what you're putting onto it. It's not a half-inch. If you're seeing it online, Milwaukee don't tell you what it is. You just buy the whole thing from them. So this here is actually off a Makita drill. This is one of the older, I think it's either a 12 or a 14 volt NiCad Makita drills. These are really old ones. Can't remember if they were branded or not. They weren't the best quality back then, but that's going back about 20 or 30 years ago. They're actually good quality now in comparison to some of the stuff you get today. So it'll be fine for this. Seeing as it only costs about 20 euro as opposed to 40 or 50, it'll suit the customer better too. Now, just slam her on. No, stick her on to high speed. Just to get her on tight. Not as comfortable, these chucks, for this particular drill, because it's more designed for one without the lockable thread on the end of it. Where did my, there we go. So some older drills didn't have the actual spindle lock inside, so whenever you turn the chuck, it locks up so the motor doesn't turn, so you could have the chuck the whole way to the back, like that old one was. These ones here were more for a drill that didn't have that lock, so you had to hold both sides to lock it. But you can use it fine like this here. It's just not as big an area you can grab a hold of. That's her. One Milwaukee M12 Drill, M12 BPD with a new chuck. And that Makita one as well is actually good because she has a nice tight jaw on it as well. You can easily fit a 1mm bit into this thing. That's him. Up and running again with his Milwaukee. That's my battery. Give us back to this man. Now, this one's on the shelf, so we'll just quickly look at it. I don't normally include many of the batteries in the repairs. Normally they can't be repaired. 14 volts, so more than likely that's gone. Test it anyway and see. If they're undercharged below 16, you can spike them, but only if the cells are actually still good. T10 security is what we need, and we'll suppose a standard one. pack doesn't look all that bad. Just check the cells here, see if we can spike it or not. So, under 14 volts. Maybe. Yeah, 3.7. Everything's 2.7, so it's actually just gone under charge. So I'll spike this and see. So basically, when they're this low, they don't charge. So they have to be above 16 volts to be able to charge. So get them up to that. We're just going to jump it off another battery. This is something you don't really want to do unless you're willing to take the risk. And if you are going to do it outside. Do not do it inside. And make sure you also check your polarity. Have them facing the same way so they're the same way around. If you're not sure, take your multimeter and check. See the way the minus comes up? Say the positive lead is reversed. Shouldn't be a minus sign if you put your multimeter on it. So that means the red's your positive. So that's in the right location. So this here is your positive lead. Same as this. You want to first check all your cells, make sure they're balanced. They all are the same voltage and you don't have just one set of dead cells. And then you want to connect them up, but you don't want to just put this on and leave it there because it'll very quickly start to overheat. All you want to do is just touch it. What I just do is just rub it. See a few wee sparks coming off. But you just want to slowly build the charge. And you see, the longer you do it, less sparks. There's less of a voltage difference then. Just do not let them leads connect, or you're going to destroy this battery and probably start a fire. But if you are going to do this, do it outside. I do recommend it to be outside, or at least right beside the door. So if this goes wrong, you can just lift it and throw it outside as quickly as you can. When these go up, they go up fast. So that's it, 16.2, that'll now take a charge. With all the cells the same, and they're all balanced, it should actually do a good enough job. Problem here is boys using the batteries on very high draw machines, like grinders and saws, and running them all the way down to empty. Your battery indicators on the side, don't be looking at them as in percentages. You know, when they're up at 4, it doesn't mean 100%, 75, 50 and 25%. You look at that as in the charge level indicator. So 100% means it's 100% charged. 3 lights means it's no longer fully charged. 2 lights means charge it, okay? 2 lights means it's gone below charge, it needs to be charged up. 1 bar means stop using the battery and charge it. Okay, it doesn't mean it's down to 25% and you can still use a bit more. It means get it off the tool on the charger, otherwise you're going to destroy the battery. When they go to low voltage, which is 18 or below, and you're putting it into a high draw machine and you're dogging it, it can drop the voltage, it can drain the battery so quick that it doesn't have time for the battery management board to stop it. It'll actually stop it, then continue drawing for a little bit more till it actually goes below the 16 volts, and then that's it. Won't no longer charge. Battery pack's still fine, but the board and the charger will no longer recognize. The charger will recognize that the battery is below charge and just refuse to charge it. It has to be back up above 16 volts to charge. So that's her. 16.3. Hopefully this will work anyway because it's dropped a little bit. We'll quickly get her on a charger and get something onto it. I'm not going to let it sit here all day charging. It might take about an hour to charge this thing, but I'm not going to leave it. Just going to get it on and get some charge in to make sure it's actually working. So that's it actually charging. Let that sit for a minute. Sometimes it can blink for a while and then it decides then it stops working. So we'll leave it for about a minute or so, make sure it guarantees that it is charging, checking it charge, and test it again. Right. I think it's safe to say that one's charging. Or is it? 16. It's actually not charging right. Right. Unless there's something draining that. Get it back together and leave it charging. And we'll see at the end of the day if it works. Right, I'll stick this one on charge at the other side of the workshop so we don't have to listen to this fan running. Even if that doesn't work, I'll not be doing anything more with it because that's about as much as I do with Makita batteries and most batteries. Spike them, and that's about it. Don't replace cells and don't replace boards. I do it for myself at home, but I wouldn't do it out here in the workshop for customers because I don't want the liability issue. So if this doesn't work, it's scrap. If it takes a full charge, it'll be good to go. Now, as soon as that one's charging, I'm just going to have a wee quick peek at this just to see what it's doing. Not to do with Milwaukee chargers, just chargers in general. There ain't much you can really do with them. When they go, they're generally not worth fixing. Unless it's something like a lead, which this could be. Actually, could well be. This might be able to be fixed. Doesn't look too bad on the inside anyway. Plenty of glue holding everything down. Everything's nicely supported. Not a bad looking charger. Basic enough fan. There's no real channels to really focus the air. It's just drawing it through, straight through, but it shouldn't get too hot, I would imagine. Main thing is it the lead or not? Easier to just lift it up. And be careful, it's only a charger, but there's big capacitors on it. It will give you a wee shock if you grab it in the wrong place. Not kill you, but just uncomfortable. Yeah, just a lead. Yeah, I would say that's just a lead gone. To say it's an impressive enough charger for a Milwaukee. It's all silicone coated in the bottom though. That's decent. Nothing wrong with that at all. Apart from the broken lead. The problem is, it's this little grommet lock. It just gets a wee bit annoying. It's moulded onto the lead. It's not like you can buy the lead separately from the charger. This will just be one piece. Sadly, I've nothing to put into this now. It's just going to be a wee quick repair, just that's it. Just going to reuse his same lead just to keep the cost down. And because I'll not have that type of cable. Mine's going to be way too thick, too heavy for this here type of job. just going to do these one at a time so we don't muddle them up. That's grand. Not perfect, but it'll do. So I'm just going to use the cheaper alternative and just get a bit of instant gasket or silicone. Squirt a bit of stuff in here and just sandwich it in. Not ideal, but when it's set, it will hold it. This is where you wish you thought of this before you stuck the glue on. Just something to stop it pulling out, basically, that's it. Now, does it work at least? Oh hey, one side, two sides. That's it. Nice wee simple fix, that one. I don't see it too often. That's a simple wee fix on a decent Milwaukee charger. Now the battery, still charging away, but I think this is scrap. Yeah, 15.88. It's actually gone below 16 volts again. That's still charging away on the charger. The exact same battery, even after being spiked. Just goes to show you can't save them all. Even spiking doesn't always work. That's still charging, but it's doing nothing. It's actually dropping charge as it's sitting on the charger, so it's doing nothing whatsoever. The board must be gone on it, so there's nothing else I'm going to do with that. Now here's one I haven't seen for a while. Bosch 4.5-inch grinder. But this is the GWS 6/115. These would be an older grinder now. Not ancient, but old enough. Made in the People's Republic of China. Cheap and cheerful one. This is just basically the basic blue model whenever they came out. Weren't very powerful, but they were a good price, and for what they did, they were a good enough machine. You used to get them on all the time. Now you barely ever see them. Let's see what this one's doing. Now everybody goes for the 7/115. I think they've done away with these quite a while ago. nothing. Maybe a lead. Yep. Can't be two in one day. Lead or a fuse. Nah, lead. That's okay. Just swap that out. Get this one up and running. I'll get a wrench on this too. Just hold on to that. Cable, plug, grommet, ferrules. No, put on the new one. Make sure them brushes are okay. Not sticking or anything. So put this back on. You want this down near the bottom anyway. Not swinging around you whenever you're actually using the grinder, because it normally just wraps you in the knuckles. That fixed the problem. Should do. It was only a lead. There's one lead fixed, replaced, and a Bosch GWS 6/115 4.5 inch grinder. Now we've got an oldie, an old Hitachi, an FDV 16VA metal badge, made in Japan. This one's that old, doesn't even have a year on it. You know they're old when the advertising or the spec, the thing they're shouting and screaming about, isn't how much power it has, it's the fact that it has electronics inside. That's what you get in the really old ones, this wee symbol for power and electronics, because most drills didn't have forward and reverse switches or variable speed. That was the big selling point back then. Simply having variable speed was a big thing. Normally they're just a simple on-off switch, full power and nothing, no reverse. Let's see what's wrong with this one. Might be that switch actually. Something like that doesn't seem right. It's actually going on along with the lever. This is how you adjust your set speed. You can adjust it. You can use your variable speed to set the max. And it's just a wee screw on the switch. You can adjust how deep the switch goes onto. Right, let's see what she's doing here. Right, that's what she's doing. Looks like a switch. Question is, will we have one? This will be an old machine. I'm not sure if you'll still get a switch for it. I don't need to go up here. What's actually gone in this? Must be the wee lever itself. Right, look up the diagram, see what the number is, and see if they're one, still available, and two, if I have one in stock. Right, gonna have to give up on looking for that one. Searched everywhere, don't have one in stock, not even a second hand one. Can get them new, you can still get them, but my supplier doesn't have them in stock, nor do I think Hitachi do. But you can still get them, so if this is going ahead, it'll be a special order on job. They're costing about €50 for that switch, and it'll be a long time before I get it. So I'm going to leave it for now and see what the customer wants to do. I rang him, but I got no answer. So for now, put it to one side. But I would say that is going to be a little bit too expensive just for a switch. Which is a shame because it is still working. Maybe we could also try mess about with the switch and see if we can get it to work. But if that screw mechanism is not working anyway, that's not going to do very much. So for now, that one's going to have to go on the back burner till we see if the customer wants to fix it or not. Now, next up is another InstaFix, another Bosch GSH 11E InstaFix, because apparently this one is not working. It says so on the machine. When I say InstaFix, it'll be an InstaFix if it's an easy fix. If it's anything complicated, it'll have to go back out because there's lots of stuff to do and it can't really jump their queue that much. He's only just left it on, but if it's an easy fix, we're told to get it running straight away. Well, hopefully that's a good sign. So this one's been fixed recently. That's a new bearing there. Question is how recently? Yeah, it must have been a while ago. It's just brushes that's gone. actually this one's the one that popped. Yep. Simple fix. The last set of brushes as well. Now I can't even remember if I ordered another 10 set or not. Could have ordered them, they mightn't be in yet. Or I could have forgot to order them. Either way, I think I'll order another 10. Because these ones will always be used. It's a nice easy one. Is that just a wee InstaFix? Or is there more wrong? It's a bit of both. It is an InstaFix, but there is more wrong with it. But the more things that are wrong are not worth fixing. She's sparking a wee bit on the motor as well, but this is not going to be worth putting the whole motor onto. It is sparking, but it is running, and she is hammering because the man was still using it. I'd say it's ran through the brushes because the motor's on its way out and it's just eating through the brushes. But still, all it needs is just a set of brushes to keep it running. Let it run on until it completely burns out. It's not going to be worth putting, what, 3, potentially even €400 into this here machine to change that there motor. €20 set of brushes just gets it up and running. Makita Drill. This one is the DHP482. Try to keep these regular ones just as quick as possible. Actually, that mightn't be worth fixing. It doesn't look old enough to have gone through a set of brushes on it. Yeah, 2024. It could be warranty. Three 2024, so alright. What's going on here? She's got hot anyway. Melted on the rear cover. What if the switch is gone maybe? Nothing to say it's warranty anyway. You just have to guess at this stage. Yeah. I feel that's actually okay, but the motor is burnt. We cooked it. Common problem with these here, they're only a light wee drill. Didn't like them to begin with. There's a lot of them came back in, burnt out and destroyed. Because they are only light, but it's because they're so cheap. A lot of people are buying these here things just because they're cheap and they're doing way too much work with them. So they end up abusing them like mad, overworking them, and they cook the motor. But boys use them for the right jobs, like kitchen fit and stuff like that there. DIY sort of stuff, anything light duty. They're lasting years. I'm going through several sets of brushes. This man's clearly abusing this one. So I'll have to find out if this one's under warranty. Even if it's not, it would still be worth an armature, I think. I don't know if it's definitely a warranty, but we just treat it like it is and fix her up. But it's not wild expensive. replace this armature anyway, so he probably still will want it fixed even if it's not warranty. And if he doesn't want it fixed, it's not hard to take them out again. Maybe a different story if that field had weakened, if it got too hot and it wasn't as strong, or if it needed a switch and not an armature. Armature's fairly cheap in these things. Just because it's a professional brand, Makita, doesn't mean it can do everything. It's still only a light duty machine. Brushes probably could reuse the other one, but I do not like using old brushes out of a burnt out motor onto a new armature. It's just not really worth the risk. And these particular drills, these 42s, don't have the same problem as most other Makitas of burning up the brush holder, this brush ring. That's made from a thermoset plastic, so it doesn't melt. I actually wish Makita would start using that type of brush holder in all their brush machines, because it's wild handy. It just saves an extra expense if it does happen to burn out a motor, especially in the things like their cordless grinder. That's the main thing that goes. Save a lot of hassle if they use that type of brush holder and their cordless grinder, the brushed version. That's her up and running. One new motor, fairly cheap. It'll take a while just to get rid of the smell, because that was cooking, it was probably smoking. You can still get the smell out of the machine whenever you run it, but that'll go within a few hours. This one I don't even want to look at. This was on about a month or two ago and got the gearbox repaired because it was stuck in hammer mode. It's on for the exact same thing again. Still in hammer mode, or at least they put it back into stuck in hammer mode. These here things are not hammer drills, folks. This is the main fault with these here particular Dewalts. They're a decent wee drill otherwise, but the DCD 796 and 795s are not hammer drills. Do not put them in the hammer mode. They just destroy the gearbox. They either melt the gearbox or the mechanism moves and they just get stuck in hammer mode all the time. This one had the actual change lever broken on it, and then that was repaired, and now still they went back and used it again in hammer mode and got stuck in hammer mode again. This is hardly even worth doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just going to do it as quick as possible. The problem with this is just no quick or easy way around doing this. You just have to strip it to do this. Pull that lever off as well, so you can actually get to these screws. This is so labour intensive for all it actually is. Pull that out in one go. A chance leaving them on this time. Then just normal crack then, special tool to hold the spindle. Oh, lock that first to open the chuck. Stick an Allen key in here and stick the whole thing in the vise. You need to get the chuck off because everything we need is up on this end. This is just all so we can save the chuck and actually take it off. That must have been very tight. There we go. Sometimes, I know the older ones, you could just put something in the chuck and lock it and literally pull the two apart. But you did chance the gearbox then when you did it like that. You could destroy the gearbox on it. Three screws in here. You can take this whole assembly out. Actually, just leave that where it is. That's where we replaced the last time. The wee lever down in here. And to be honest, I should have just taken out that ring for the hammer, so they didn't have the option of using it again. Where were you now? That way. Just leave that in place. Yeah, I think this gear is just moved. I'm just going to press that down fully, because if I take it off, I think that bearing's just going to come off as well. So press it down the bearing press to just clamp it on a wee bit more. Right, that's that pressed on a wee bit more. But you know, just to be sure this doesn't come back in again, I'm just going to take this out. Because this crowd, you don't know what they're at. It's got into a factory basically. And it's just one of the employees sticking this on and just using it as hammer mode. So eventually I think it's going to come back in again. So just remove the option so they can't do it again. If I take that out, it just removes the half the hammer mode, so there's nothing to go against. I think that spring and washer will keep the rest of it pressed down, so it shouldn't get in the way anyway. This will also be a quick and easy way to take hammer mode out of one of these drills if it does get stuck, so you don't have to replace any parts at all. Just remove the whole problem. There we go. Now, no matter what mode you go into, there ain't no hammer there. But honestly, these drills, for light duty use, they're grand. They're a wee bit worse now because they've changed the switch. But one thing you do not want to do is use hammer mode on them, because that just kills them. Look at that. First try. This one knows I want to be quick. Should have put the chuck on before reassembling it, but I can slap it on anyway with a bit of Loctite. It'll still do the same job. That's how we fit the Milwaukee ones. The only problem with the Loctite when you use it that way is if somebody starts using it straight away, it does crowd, mightn't be back in for it for a week. So there's plenty of time for that Loctite to harden. You can see when I was actually taking it off, it was still tight even after I broke the hold. That's because the Loctite was binding it on still. Now, no more hammer mode. It does give the chuck a little bit more play, but even any drill outside of hammer mode, they do have a little bit of play in it. Hammer mode has a wee bit more, but that shouldn't make too big of an odds. Just same as before. Good dose of Loctite. And slap her on. Just be careful when you're starting it. And just hit it hard. That's her. No more hammer mode, hopefully. Well, we know this time for certain, because they'll be taking away their option. So that's that one actually fixed. That's how you change the Dewalt drill to make sure it can't get stuck in hammer mode again. Or if it ever gets stuck in any way, just remove that there. Takes it out completely. So these ones are a lot like the Makitas. We Dewalt 4.5 inch grinder, cordless brushless motor, or brushed motor, sorry. This has been modified before. Look, somebody's taken the wee lock lever out. Very much like the Makitas because they melt stuff inside, just like Makitas because they're a brushed machine. Makita melts the brush holder. These generally just melt the wires. Going by the state of this thing, I would say she's melted. But peek and see, sometimes you can patch it together again, but a lot of the times it's not really worth it. Or would be worth it, but is there any real point? The wires have melted once, they could melt again. Plus there's a safety problem, because once wires start melting, it's a great way to kill extra batteries. So you want to fix it just so the boy destroys batteries on himself. He's using this here for cement. Cement or tile adhesive or something. Can't fault it for the abuse that's been taken in now. That's going to come out, but don't yank it out just yet. These are just built a little bit different from the Makita. Makita, you're buying all the bits for the motor. These come as a wee assembly basically. You can still buy the brush holder and all for them, but they're all bolted together. They're just not made in the same way. Yeah, same crack, wires. And this has done a lot of work. So the brushes are just about worn down as well. The thing is absolutely caked in cement and dust. I've just got a bit of the green death going on here too. What do I do here? What you can do is just get a jumper wire and connect it onto this and put a splice up onto here and just solder the two together. That will get it up and running. Normally the controller is still good. The switch gives very little trouble on these ones, but the controller can blow. But the brush is also wearing out on it. This is the same brush holder as some of their saws as well. It's a 4 brush brush holder. Good enough job, but when they wear out they can be expensive. So to fix that and then to eventually change this, I really don't think it's worth it, to be honest. Not honest in this kind of state. Clearly it's a tool designed or been used for abuse. You'd be far better off just replacing it. Yeah, them brushes are just about to stop. Nah, I'm going to leave that. The only thing I'm going to end up doing there is giving him a way to run that again, melt the wires again, and end up killing some of his batteries, because those wires cross over. You're shorting out your battery then when you plug one in. And I know from doing these repairs in the workshop here, boys doing this sort of thing themselves, and I plug my battery in to test the machine and it cooks my battery. I've seen it happen myself firsthand enough times to know I wouldn't want to do it to somebody else. So that is just going to be left. If it was in a wee bit better condition, we might have done something. If it wasn't used for such hard work, it was maybe somebody at home, fair enough. They might be giving it as much abuse to melt the wires again, but this boy clearly will be giving it abuse. If you're getting machines like this here, if this is the way your machine looks, it's a tool at the end of the day. I know a lot of people say you shouldn't, your machines shouldn't get like this, but this has been used for earning money, plain and simple. But cordless machines aren't really designed for this kind of work. They're a convenience tool, not a replacement tool for a corded machine. But they're that bloody handy. Nobody wants to go back to a corded machine again. So if your machine looks like this, best thing you can do is go out and buy a brushless motor, brushless version. More power, more last, take way more abuse, just a better machine overall. These things, if you dog them, you just end up cooking the motor, or cooking the wiring, or burning up the brush ring or something like that. So if you have one and they're dying like a on you and they look like this, get yourself a brushless one. It'll last way longer. We're getting through this shelf rightly, so we are. There's nothing too major just yet. There's plenty of other machines out there in boxes. We'll have to do them in separate videos, but we'll see if we can get rid of this here shelf for now. This one is a Bosch Grinder. This is one of the newer, smaller ones, the GWS 750. Bit of duct tape or a bit of insulating tape in the lead. Could be a lead problem on this one. Doesn't sound like brushes anyway. See what the crack is here. Nothing. No, it's not brushes anyway. It's done a good bit of work actually. Brushes don't look like it, but I'd say they've been changed. I'd say this as a lead. No, it's not a lead. It's easier than a lead. That is the brushes. That one's okay. So that one's stuck. It's a very simple one. I wonder now, were they changed? Is this just the amount of work this boy's doing? Or the kind of work? Is it just dirty? Pull them out. Give the holder a little rub. Get the brush a wee rub. That's just dirt and grit and grime sticking to the brush. And getting pulled down in between the brush and the brush holder and filing it up. If they don't slide up and down freely, a bit of corrosion or something on that too. Though. If they don't slide up and down freely, the spring's not going to be able to push the brush down onto the armature to get good electrical contact. It'll run for a while, or maybe it'll start spluttering and sparking on you. But after a while, it will start to lose contact and just stop dead. And then it won't run. Sometimes you get a wee thump or a bang, it might run for a bit, but it will stop again. It's always these brushes. Clean them, get them moving free, put them back in again. That'll solve the problem. Just like the last one, it's a tool designed for work. And works dirty. That's better. Moving nice and free. So that will now run. Just make sure. Will run, but it will also just change the lead anyway. Because there's melted a couple of spots here too. And that there is normally a side and there's a big cut somewhere on there. So we'll just replace it. Leave it right, seeing as this is just going to be a cheap fix now anyway. And to put it onto here first, seeing as I already have a plug on the other end. That should be her. New lid, new plug, and the brushes freed out. Nice, quick and easy one, and a cheap, but still quite good blue Bosch grinder. That's a basic model, but there ain't nothing wrong with it. Now, next up is a wee bush machine. There's an 18 volt Bosch SDS, the GBH 18V/21. I was going to see what's wrong with us, but she seems to have a heat problem. Now she's dead. Start my battery now. What's going on here? Don't know if that's a switch or a wiring problem. We'll chance wiring problem first because that'll be worth fixing. There we go. Bit of persuading. Am I hung up on something here or what? Oh, maybe it's that. That looks kind of basic. It's not very impressive on the inside, is it? Nice looking motor. It seems like a lot of empty space. This has obviously just been modified. Look. I've never actually opened one of these before. The Bosch GWS 18V/21. Obviously this here is just a brushed machine that's been modified to take a brushless motor. You can actually see all the housing marks for the rest of it. So this thing could have been even smaller again if they had to just redesign the body. Look. They've literally just shoved this into the old body, modified a motor to fit the body instead of fitting a body to a motor. That makes no sense. So you can see where the bearing goes, you can see where the brushes were. This is where the armature was sitting, and this here would have been the field holding this in. So they just designed this motor housing around this here mount for the field, and just cut out a wee slot down here to put the brushes, the wires. It works. If it's cheap enough, I suppose it should do the job, but don't know how good this is. If they cheaped out on this, what else did they cheap out on? That's actually kind of shocking, to be honest. I actually can't believe that it's like that. There's not a wire problem. I thought it was going to be a broken one here, but there is corrosion. I wonder if them contacts just need a wee clean maybe. Board doesn't look too bad, mind you. Just a plastic housing with a board on it, all potted in, and then a big aluminium heatsink on the top, just to keep her cool. And then the same kind of switch Bosch normally uses. Just don't know how good that motor there is. Seems kind of stiff. I suppose it's just the way this is sitting, it's not squared now. That's rubbing as well though. We InstaFix sensor board down the back, just for picking up the rotation. There's nothing even I can do to that to take out the rub now, because this is a motor unit. I can't pack it out or anything. It's not bad, but it is definitely rubbing. That's kind of disappointing from Bosch there. I wouldn't be paying whatever money this is for this thing. Just a rehash of an older model. I have more faith in the older model that was designed for this. This side should be good enough, but I don't like this at all. Especially seeing as there's no broken wires, so the problem is more than likely going to be the switch. I'll give us a wee clean and maybe open it up and clean the switch itself out. That there is absolutely shocking. Really disappointed in that with Bosch. I actually took it out to show the boss man as well. Cannot get over it. Cheaper, it probably was a decent SDS roll, was a brush machine. But instead of redesigning, taking a new machine, they literally just designed one part to fit on. You can actually replace the field on it. It's not that expensive, but the controller and the switch is one part. And that cost nearly €100 for this here. €80 I think it is altogether for the switch and the controller. Not worth it. And I think this is the problem, because you can buy this in InstaFix for €130. So I'd say this is just a InstaFix spec machine from Bosch, which does happen from time to time. They might take, big brand might take one machine, modify the kit or the body for a big massive store that'll spec so many units and only they can sell it. Or something like InstaFix, maybe a group of different shops will actually go together, big ones, and spec a machine the way they want from a manufacturer, so only they can sell it. So I'd say this is just basically a InstaFix machine from Bosch. But it's not going to be worth replacing the switch. And I also don't know if I can open this. Yeah, see. It's not even the right switch. It's a Kido switch. It's not the same one Bosch normally use either. So that's probably why it's not working right. Nah, I have to break them tabs to open it, and once they're broken, I'll either have to glue it back together or something. And it was kind of working to begin with, so I don't want to leave it in a worse state. But it's not worth replacing that switch to replace that controller as well. But we'll just sand this controller down the contacts to see if that makes any difference. See, that doesn't even go on right now, look. Gonna be wiring room, it's too thick for down here. This is not isolated to Bosch. A lot of brands do this. Like your Dewalt SDS drill, the 18 volts. They are just basically a rehash of the older 24 volts, which were a good machine. They just keep changing the motors and the battery contacts for it to continue working. You can see corrosion up around here too low. The energies are still good. It's just now they're getting into the brushless machines that have more power. You're seeing some of them components starting to fail. But not even Dewalt, even Faulty do this as well. They just take an original machine and they just modify it to suit. I had recently on a Faulty reciprocating saw, and I was shocked to find the same sort of thing. Reciprocating saw I think cost around €1,500, 1,500 something. Like, I was over £1,000 anyway for it. Typical Faulty price. I'm going to open it up, and the bottom, as well as the controller, there was the underside of the battery tinner, and side was a corded machine, and they still had the parts and side for the battery tinner because it was a battery operated tool. So they just literally modified the whole base cover and just had a blank plate instead of the battery tinner, but it was an actual cordless machine that they just modified to take a power lead down. The worst thing it was about it, it was like 15 or 20 years old. It's one of the old 22 volt NiCad battery tools. It probably was good in the day, but they're still selling it today for nearly €1,500 as a 110 corded machine. Just have the lead coming. It's a very awkward looking base on it. The lead's coming out the wrong place. It's because it used to have a battery sliding onto it. So even Faulty's at the same thing. And that was even worse because it was a 22 volt machine they're trying to use as a 110 volt machine. So the motor was way too small to be used today, but yet they're still charging over £1,000 for it. That's the worst one I've seen. This is just same sort of crack, just changing the motor. See, Bosch didn't keep up with the rest of the brands when it came to cordless tools. Everybody else started going to brushless, and Bosch started staying with the universal. There was a safer bet, but they also started going back to DC motors as well, which was a big mistake. But I think now they're realising this here, and they're trying to get things changed over to brushless, because there's where all the power is and the speed and what everybody wants. So I think they're just trying to redesign some of them to tick the brushless motors. That was a disaster. 130 or 140 euro screw fix for that thing. I think Sumbler had it on for 200 euro. That was with a 4 amp hour battery. Might be on special offer, but still, that means the tool is only costing about 100. So fixing that, trying to put a switch into it, is nowhere near worth it. You can't even buy the battery tinner for it. But not to say it didn't do any work. Go on, would you? Clearly has done a wee bit of work, and it probably does still work a little, just not well. Yeah, no joy. It is that switch. That's not going to be worth 80 euro to replace that, especially you can buy the whole thing for 200 euro with another battery. So really, it's costing you next to nothing for the drill if you buy it in a kit like that. So that I'm just going to leave. Now this one shouldn't be too major. This one says clutch slipping. This is a Dewalt diamond core drill. So a lot like the Ivan stock ones we've done before. This is the D21580. So a 2-speed diamond core drill. She's taking a big diamond core and she's just drilling onto the wall. There's no hammer action or anything. but there's a safety clutch in them just in case they bind up. They'll actually slip instead of just tossing you off a ladder. So this boy says this one's working, but she just slips very easily. Yeah, working. I wonder if that's an old note. She's clearly not working. She tripped this. No. Don't know about the clutch, but this ain't working. Right. That's just got a little bit more complicated. A little bit of fluff in there. What the hell is that? Just a bit of insulation. Fiberglass. Bored through a wall, got a wee bit got sucked in. It's not a big deal. Right, brushes seem okay. Connectors themselves, nope, there's the problem. There's the lead there going onto the brush connector. Look. Ain't connected onto nothing. So it's just a simple wee fix. I wonder if there's anything wrong with this clutch then. We'll stick this back on it anyway and give it a wee test. It's kind of awkward, not much room to work here. There can be a lacquer, a Teflon coat on these wires. Just take that off just in case it's snapped. And a fresh bit of copper to go onto. They're not the best of designs, they're sort of just floating here, so over the years they work hard and eventually snap off. But it's not hard to reattach. It did just work hard and there's the end of it there, look. That's how long it was. It's going to be a little bit shorter now, but it also leaves me very little room. You need a clamp just to hold this down first. I don't have enough arms for this. Just get that started first. Much better. Right, it should run now at least. Question is there anything wrong with the clutch in this thing now? Suppose as it says it, may as well test for it. Or not test, we'll just adjust it. Yeah, that one's okay. Make sure it works first, and then we'll adjust the clutch. Right, that's that bit. Can't even take the handle off. Look. Aluminium frame or the housing on it, that's all mushroomed. Well, unless I file it down. I don't really need to do that. Oh, just turn. Just leave it as is. can't remember if there's oil or grease in this. I think it's oil. But if you're not sure, always treat it as if it is oil. So we'll just work it like this. There we go. And it is an oil too. So this is our clutch, just like the Eben stock one. So same kind of clutch, just a wee jack shaft or wee drive train with a clutch ring on top and a nut. So this here has to be torqued to a certain level to give the correct amount of slip for this here clutch. So we'll just retorque this to the correct value. Now, of course, Dewalt actually have a special tool for this, so to actually retorque it you need their special tool. But of course that's obsolete, you can't actually get it anymore. But you can still buy the clutch itself. You can buy this as one kit already set, or you can just torque it yourself. You might need a special tool, but all it really is a vise and a torque wrench. That's it. These here, according to online, are torqued to 16.5 to 17 Newton meters. So we'll just torque this up to 17 and that should do the job. Just give it a quick clean up first so we can see what we're looking at. All this is, like I say, is just a wee drive train. So I think the armature is driving this, and then this is driving the two gears down in here. So as you select your gears, you can move this big one up and down. Either selects this one or this one for high and low speed. But your motor is driving this, and all it is just resistance. These are just wee slip plates, not really clutch plates. They're just steel rings basically, or washers. So they're just stacked on top of each other, and the tighter they're squeezed down against this gear, the more resistance, more friction. So the more they're able to turn. Tighter they are, the more it can turn. The looser, the more it can slip. So that's all it is. It's just working on friction. Tighter you put this bolt, this nut on top, the tighter these are packed together, the harder it is for it to actually slip. So to tighten it up, we just tighten this here. And I might just put a bit of Loctite on that as well, just to make sure it doesn't come off. But first I want to see how tight this is. So I want to see if the torque on this already is. Is it above 15 Newton meters, because that's as far as mine actually goes to, or is it actually at the 17 already? If it's already at the 17, we might just tighten it down a little bit, maybe 18 or 19, and then leave it at that, because that's what's on the thing they say to tighten this up to. So we'll tighten it. This is my very high-tech setup: torque wrench, a vise, and a rag. You don't get much more basic. You don't have to clamp this too hard because it's only putting on 16 or 17 Newton meters onto this. You even need the wee adapter because this is a 3/4 and my socket is a 1/2 inch. 17mm socket in this. I'm going to drop this down to as low as she goes. That would probably be around 10. About 16. Right, just slipped quite a bit. I'll put a wee bit of Loctite on it as well. As you can feel, that's fairly tight now. There must already be some Loctite on this. The Eben stock one, I didn't put Loctite on because I'm not sure of the value. I know it comes up this here value, so I'll put Loctite in this one. We can be sure it's right. So that just spins now because there's no tension. If I was sure of the Eben stock value, I would have put Loctite on that as well. So this is a cup washer. It has to face down the right way to bear down on it. Now, what have we got this to? So that'll be down to 10. You can see these go up in 10s, 40, 30, 20. So the next one will be 10. And it's got this scale here, so this goes up in 20s. So half a turn, go back to 0, so that's a 10. So if I go all the way back to here, that'll probably be 10 Newton meters, but this is too slack to actually work. So if that's 10, that'll be 15, 16, 17 Newton meters. That's the max, and I'm just going to go a wee bit more to 17 and a half. And that's it. That's her torqued up enough. So it shouldn't slip as easily now. I can take a wee bit more abuse as well, because it's gone a wee bit over. You can go a little bit over because this is old, so it's going to be worn because it's slipped. These get a wee fraction of a mil, you're talking nanometers smaller, so I can bear down a wee bit more. The wear is going to cause it to slip a little bit more easily, so you want to put a wee bit more tension onto it just to make sure. You want to set it just above the max. Basically, when they're this year old, if it was a fresh machine, it would just stick to the right value. Now, better hold on for dear life now with that one. My problem with the oil is where the hell is the hole? That's it. All the stuff's leaked out of this side. Not leaked, but dropped. Well, you get really old and very well used, this grease or oil can really start to stink as well. But like the old cement mixers, you know rightly when you're working on them. Sometimes when people walk into the workshop and just ask, what the hell's that smell? So I normally just blame, I was working on a mixer there. Cordrel, that's the smell of the grease. Don't pay attention to that. If I can get this closed now. There we go. Right, let me let this drop out again now, try to get one tightened up. Because it will drop. Now, shouldn't be as bad now. That's her. One Dewalt core drill with the field repaired and the clutch tightened up. 16 to 17 Newton meters torque on that there clutch. That'll stop it slipping. I have no way of actually testing these machines, that's another thing. But that's her. That'll keep them boring for a wee while longer. This is Dewalt D21 580. Nice and easy fix. Now, next up is a wee Milwaukee. Now if you listen to this, You hear that? No big Milwaukee rant. This here one actually isn't that bad a machine, to be honest. You don't hear me say it too often, but you can say it about these ones. This is actually the M12 Milwaukee. This is an M12 BPD Milwaukee pop rivet gun. To be honest, these aren't that bad. The M12 ones especially. The M18 are not as good. They're more powerful. But the best thing about them is, surprisingly, the price. They're a lot cheaper than some of the other brands. Good enough machine, but this one I'm still not going to fix. Not because I've been thrown about it, but because I already know what's wrong with it and I don't have the part. I'm just taking it out here to check it to make sure I'm right, because I've actually already ordered this. Yeah, not much wrong with it. This boy has either lost or snapped one of the jaws. That's it. That's all that's wrong. A bit of gunk down in there. That doesn't really matter. These here is just a wee pop rivet gun for popping or pulling pop rivets. There's 3 jaws here and a wee holder. The motor runs and pulls the 3 jaws up. As they go up, they actually get tighter and grip the spindle on the pop rivet and pull it until it actually compresses the pop and pops the end of it. Not a cheap machine when you're buying a cordless one, but these Milwaukees, they're not that bad. For lighter ones, these M12s are actually good. M12 Milwaukee stuff generally is a little bit better. But the M18, not as repairable. They're good enough. They mightn't be as good as what they're for the price tag, but compared to some of the other brands like the Makitas and that, they're nearly half the price. So I have actually recommended the Milwaukee pop rivet guns. But this one only needs a jaw. They come in sets of 3. They're already ordered, so I can't do anything else with this. I just wanted to take it on to make sure that's all it needed. If in order to put on Milwaukee, it's already on the list. So when it comes on, we'll stick them on there. But it's only a matter of literally dropping them on. It's a very simple and cheap fix. Now this box on the shelf, I'm actually not going to do this on this video because it turns out that's another 4 corded machines, another 4 grinders, which is just going to make this video too long. So I'm going to leave this here and just do it in a separate video. If you want to see that, you can look up box of grinders. Now, there is a pass load on the shelf, so we'll put one pass load on the video. I'm trying to put in as little as possible because there was actually quite a lot of these in for repair. But I've done them all one day, just separately. Didn't bother doing a video on them. But one's on this shelf, so I will include this. I don't know what's wrong with it. The lights are coming on, so I'll take her out and give her a test. Nothing. Right, doing squat, but I think that only started up as well when I pulled the trigger. I don't think it started on the plunger. Well, there's several things going on here actually. It's not starting up at all now. Something's jamming that trigger actually, and she's not starting whenever I plunge it down. I should just squeezed it when I was outside. That's the older one. At least that's not too tight. That's tight anyway, there we go. Doesn't look all that bad on the inside. Bone dry, but it's not overly dirty. If you listen to this, you can hear how dry the insides is. It might need a full service, but we'll do one anyway just to clean it out. Actually get fresh pass with oil onto it, help it move better. Just pop out that gas tube before. Dismantle it. I suspect the wee trigger for the plunger on the or the spark unit or the electronics is actually gone. One of these boys here. Pop off the head. We'll clean all that out. We'll just test this first to see what's going on. So I'll get back up again. Battery back in. And see what she does. It should start whenever we pull this lever. That'll be starting the switch. And it does. Then you should get a spark whenever you pull this in and pull the trigger. And it does. But not every time. Actually, it stopped again. Come out, would you? This wears a little bit. It doesn't make full travel, but it hasn't worn in that much yet. So that trigger works. And that trigger works. Back, would you stop? Yeah, it is this here by the looks of it. He's only doing 1 or 2 times, getting a spark, and the rest is not. It stops here, then see what actually starts. What the? Both triggers are working now, but I'm getting no spark. So it's an actual faulty spark unit. The spark igniter here. Right, expensive fix then, in other words. The problem is all of this. Replace all that, which costs about €150. Normally it's one of these switches that go. You'll know because one of them won't start the motor whenever you plunge them on, but both of these are starting the motor, so they're making the right contact, doing the right things. It's just not producing a spark. So the spark unit, the coil inside of here, must be gone. So that's a dear fix. And luckily I do actually have one in stock. Now be careful if you are buying these because there's 2 types. There's a black and a red. Don't know what the difference is or it makes any odds if you interchange them, but you're meant to change like for like. Not to say there's a different number, they're the exact same part number, just one has a black tick and one has a red one, so we have to do the same thing. So literally it's just a bit of black marker shoved down the barcode. This one has wee red marker. Do it like for like, just in case. So that's good in there. I'm going to give it a quick wee blow out before I actually put it together, and then I'm just going to strip it apart and service it. What year is this thing? Actually, this is 2015. This thing's 10 years old. Before I do anything, I better ring this man and see if he actually wants to fix this. Because he's here at €150. Well, actually 150 plus the VAT. It's the last time we actually put one on. Could have been up since then because Paz will keep putting their prices up. That plus a service, you're looking at least 200, if not more. Actually, just ring this man and see what he wants to do first, just in case. Right, no answer from the customer. I'm actually just going to play this one safe and leave this till this man comes back, because she's 2015, so she's 10 years old, and going by the serial number, this has never been in the workshop here before, and I don't actually know who this person is, and they're not answering their phone, so I can't get a definite go ahead. It'll be different if this has been on regularly with myself, checking the serial number, because I can check everything back on the computer, going back about 20 or 30 years here. It'll be different if this has been on before and we knew it's got 5 services and a gas regulator change, and this is the first time the spark unit went. That'll be different. You'd know this here part's still good and it's been maintained. I've no record of this gun at all. It's never been on here before, so I could replace this at, actually, these here are up in price. They're €175 now plus the VAT. I could replace that, and then a couple of months later the gas regulator goes. These do have a tendency to wear it as well because there's no regulator on top of the gas now. Instead of the old gun having the regulator built onto the gas that you just replace with every ton of gas, now it's built into the gun, so eventually that regulator will wear out. It has to do every single ton of gas now, so that there will eventually wear, and you'd want to know if that's been replaced or not. So until this boy gives me the go ahead, I'm actually just going to leave this, because it's too risky for me to put on. I'll not put it back together again and just leave it in pieces. If he doesn't want to go ahead again, then I'll put it back together, or if he wants to fix it, then I'll fix it. But for now, I'm just going to box this up. So he could ring me back in 5 minutes, or he could ring me back a week later, you don't know. But for now, that's just going to have to wait. At least we know that we have the part if we do want to fix it. Now, trouble in paradise. This is not what I wanted to have up on the bench today. The new Hikoki concrete nailer. This is just out, and we just sold the first one, and this is the first one that we sold. It's back in a few weeks later, faulty. Not what I want to be hearing, because I've been recommending Hikoki stuff a lot. I was hoping these concrete nailers are going to be really good as well, just as good as the first and second fixed nail guns, but not after a great start. The first one we sold is already back in. I'm hoping this might be an operator error, but I just don't know. The pan is definitely sticking out anyway, and it's not broken. That's a good start. We chamfer up here for it to load the next nail, but the tip isn't broken or anything. Now this is coming from a window crowd, big company, and they're using these here a lot, so I'd imagine this has done a wee bit of work on the time that it has been out, but still, you don't want to see it faulty already. But if there's a fault with this problem, something broken, it's going to have to go back to Hikoki. I can't fix it. I'm just going to do a wee preliminary look at it, see if there's anything we can do to get it back to the customer nice and quick. So we got a flashing reset button, and there is a reset system on this. So 1, 2, 3, plunge it, pull the trigger and hit the reset. He's already done this obviously, and it hasn't worked. No, switched off, timed out. Nothing. I'll try reset by holding the buttons. It's going off again fairly quick. The wee blinky light is a warning light, it's not a fault light. Now, that might be it. Like I said, the wee orange light is just a warning, it's not an actual fault. It's different if it's a red light. An orange light just means it's actually stopped itself, so you can reset it by doing that, or you can reset it by holding the sun and the nail button. That'll reset the light and allow you to fire again. So I'll take it right here now and give her a wee try. Could have just been they were going too fast because these have a maximum speed. If you plunge this, lift this off the surface and plunge it back down again before this pin is actually reset, it will come up a fault and you'll have to reset it like this. But will she work? That's the pin back. Now she don't work. Now she's got a red light on now, look. Plunge it, pull the trigger. There we go. That's it. Just needs to be reset. Nothing wrong with it. That's what I like to see, because I am recommending these guns. Out of nails now. Fresh nails. I just want to make sure there's sink in them. Yeah. Now my next problem is how am I getting that board off the wall and the nail board. So that's a relief. There's nothing actually wrong with it. Just needed to reset. The pin only came back halfway and had to have a reset to get it cleared. And then once you pull the trigger then, it takes it back the full way. But then it comes up the red light then to say to reset the tool to make sure it's right. And that is just a normal 1, 2, 3. Plunge it down, pull the trigger and hit the reset. And that clears the light. Then you can continue on working it. So no problem with the gun, which is a relief for me because I've already done a wee quick video on this here, just unboxing it and showing what it's like. And I was saying it is quite a nice gun, and I still think it is a nice gun, but not what you want to see, one coming in straight away after a few weeks with something wrong. But luckily this is just a simple reset problem. At the same teething problems with the Hikoki nail gun, boys having it out, and it got into the reset mode. Either people don't know to reset it like this. Of course, nobody actually reads the manual for these things. Either they don't know to do that, or they also don't know, but it also doesn't really tell you very clearly that your battery has to be charged. So if your gun goes onto this reset and you try to clear it and it's not clearing anything, not doing a squat, pull your battery out and check it. This one's got 4 bars, not a problem. But if it's down at 1 or even 2 bars in your battery, you cannot reset. Because if you think about it, if that pin only comes back halfway, this air in the chamber is already half compressed, so it's under more load. Whenever you want to start the motor to continue compressing it, it's actually harder for the motor to get this up and running, to initially get it moving, because it's already under half compression. The further back it is, the more compression is under, and it's harder for the motor to start, so it needs maximum power to start that up. If your battery's already half dead, it doesn't have enough voltage to really do it, so it just won't do anything. Fully charged battery is what you need to actually clear the reset problem that's here. But this one, nothing wrong with it. Let's go straight back to the customer. No need to send it away, just a simple reset problem, which is a relief for me. Now, next up, I've got a Makita SDS drill. This one is the DHP482 from 2021. Not working. Lights on, but it's not making a sound. Right, so that could easily be a switch. If it's a switch, it'll be worth fixing. No, I have to take the other 2 out. It's just so you can pull the housing out a little bit. Don't pull it out the whole way because you want to keep the armature and the brushes here. Pull it out too far, like I just did, you go past the brush. Or did it? Yeah, it did. No, I'm alright, it's still on there. Leave it on so much so the brushes are still on, so you can just slide it back in. Otherwise you have to dismantle the, or take out the brushes and brush caps as well. If we don't have to, we'll try to avoid it. Now there's the problem there. The switch. Oh, it's really melted on. So this is the actual MOSFET for controlling the speed. Take this off, keep it away from the switch. I don't know if that's just to save space or what. I think it's safer up here, but it's part off the switch now, so it doesn't matter if this goes, you still replace the switch. I have it up here, right beside the field. Well, probably to help keep it cool as well, actually. The fan's going to be blowing air across this. It's on a big copper plate with heat paste to actually keep it cool, because this will get hot. This is what's doing all the switching. Have it on the plate to help dissipate the heat. Any heat on this just goes onto the plate, and then the air blowing across it keeps it cool. But this is generally the way they fail. The actual MOSFET itself will just cook like this. You just blow one side out. You can buy these online. You can probably still make out the number on it. You can buy that on its own, unsolder the leads, and put on a new big MOSFET. And I can guarantee you, when you reassemble it and actually test the drill, you'll pull the trigger once or twice, and that'll just pop again. I've done it enough times. I know it doesn't work. The only way to fix it is just replace the switch. And then you can't actually really repair the switch, because this is all just a sealed unit. I'm going to keep the battery thinner and get rid of the rest. All these wires are part off the switch. Get that off. Disconnect your brush leads on your wee connector here too. That's just for your LED. Pop that out. And don't muddle up your wires. Try to keep them the same. Red's underneath. So what you need is one switch and a wee bit of heat paste compound. This just help the heat get from that wee MOSFET onto the plate. That's everything. Just get this back on again now. If you reverse these leads, your forward and reverse switch will be reversed. Not a big deal. You probably wouldn't care if it was your own, but if it's somebody else's, they would care. Connector back on here. Slide that on. Battery tuner, just make sure you're getting your leads right. Make sure you put them in right, they sort of face back the way. So they go like this. So plus is your red. Plus is positive. Minus is negative. That's your black. And your yellow then just goes onto this wee lead here. And your black then. That can all just hang here for now. We lever then for your change lever. For your forward and reverse, pop that on. Make sure it's in the actual hole. That's sitting on top. One wee screw holding us on. Tidy up the burnt bits. You can tell by the colour of that got very hot. And you can see the heat paste. There wasn't exactly much on it. So we'll put plenty on it this time, though. That's just to help it conduct the heat on. To really stick it on. Makes better contact with that. Put that on there. Slide that back in. Make sure all your wires are in place. Don't let anything be left hanging out. It should all tuck in nicely. It's hardly worth putting that back on, but I'll stick it on now. Don't exactly keep much of the dust out. But if it helps at all, you should well put it on there. Now just make sure all your wires are down. Nothing's getting snagged or in the way. I think that should do. Pull this motor out a wee bit again. Slide this on. Should all just click down. Tighten her up. Now if we don't poke at this too much, it should slide back in. If we pull it out too far, you'll have to pull the brushes out to get it on again, but we didn't take it out enough to do that. Now as well, I should have pointed out when it was opened, if you open this up and you see any burning at all, if the brushes are starting to burn or the brush ring, the plastic in that is going brown or it's looking like it's melted, don't bother changing the switch. If the armature looks discoloured, it was not bright copper, don't bother fixing it, it's starting to burn up. If you think the field on it, the stator, is a little bit weak, forget about it. And if you see on the armature as well, that white resin around the bottom, if that's starting to discolour, going black or going a brownish sort of colour as if heat's burning on it, don't bother changing the switch, because any of those there things is a sign the motor's on its way out as well. It wouldn't be worth doing the two. I'm doing this one because the armature and everything looks perfect up inside of here. It's all clean, nice and fresh looking. It's not burnt at all. It's just the switch that failed. But if anything else is gone, be wary. You could be getting into expensive repair, and it could actually be the motor being burnt out that caused the switch to fail. So just watch that. But I should have pointed that out when I had it opened there. The last thing is just get this wee floating retainer back in. Slides on there. Don't forget this little roller and pin sitting on here, just in case that drops off on you and you're wondering where it goes. While annoying feature, because it starts flapping about, just because it's flapping about and moving, it also saves your batteries and saves these contacts, so it's a handy wee thing to have in the end up. Let's get the last two screws. Oh. This thing's a wee bit too fast for these sometimes. It's better down on low speed. Anyway, that's it. One new switch and a Makita SDS drill. The DHP482. That's it. Just make sure she hammers. The bit's going in. It's working. Another thing to check is just a cap. Just make sure that's not worn. If you're seeing the steel tool holder around the edge of the cap here, just replace it. That'll mean it's been pushed down and it'll be no longer holding the bit correctly. That's it. So you quickly change the switch on the Makita SDS drill. Worthwhile, but if there's anything else wrong with it, or if you're unsure about the motor, don't bother, because it is an expensive repair and might not be worth it if there's anything else actually gone. But if it's just a switch, it's well worth fixing. That's her. Now, last one up for today. This is the last one on the shelf. This is the Dewalt SDS drill. What is she? A DCH273. This is the brushless version. And she's working. See if she's hitting. Where's my bit? Right, this one might need a wee bit of work, but it's an easy fix. I think she's just getting a bit dry inside. I think this has been left on in time. She's hammering when she's going fast, but not when she's going slow. I think the grease is just dried up and the piston is a bit dry now, so the ram or the hammer weight on the piston is sticking. When she's going slow, it's just basically sticking to the piston and it's not getting any impact. It's only when it's going fast then she has enough momentum to actually hit and cause a hammer. So it's hammering when she's run fast, but when you go slow, it's just a wee tap basically. So I think this just needs to be cracked open and fresh grease put on. Hopefully the piston and all still okay. So we'll chance that with this one. Otherwise I can't see anything actually wrong with it, apart from just being grubby. It's obviously been worked anyway. So this one we've seen 100 times before. Very common for the Dewalt. But then this Dewalt drill is probably one of the most common one there is out there. Most popular drills, SDS. And you can't knock them for it because they are doing some work. They're just an absolute pain to open up. Absolutely love screws, Dewalt. So everything is just screwed together. Nip any labels, stop them sticking together so we can actually separate it. Pull these two halves and just prise them up over there. I should just pop out. Same thing over here, separate it at the corner and it just lifts out. As you can see, it's definitely been worked anyway. Just blow this down quickly with the compressor first. And unscrew some more. Prise it up just to break the seal, and this should just lift off. And that's it, look. This man just knew when to send it on, look. Bone dry in there. No damage. And this bolt then. It's just basically got a wee skin of oil on it and that's it. I think that O-ring's actually still good too. The only thing I'm going to do here is add grease. That's it. You can strip the whole thing apart and clean it all down. But to be honest, it's going to run the exact same way. I mean, this thing's getting plenty of abuse the way it is. Yeah, look at that. No bother at all. Just make sure you keep everything nice and clean. Pick up the sweet washer again. Stick it on there. Get a bit more grease on here. It's a different story when it gets to this stage and somebody doesn't stop and just keeps on running. They start doing damage to the piston and the O-ring, and you have to change more stuff. So once you get these where they're not hitting when you're running them slow, get them open and get some new grease in it. It's just a shame there's no way to actually get grease in without dismantling the whole thing, because that's the biggest torture of these things. Grease then a wee bit just down here in the gears. Don't flood this area, and just plenty up here then. You just want the grease up the side. You don't want it down here, because it's not all that well sealed up. If it's all pulling down here, it'll start leaking down into the motor, because these seals eventually wear. But if you just keep it up this side and it's heavy enough grease, it'll stay up on the piston and keep everything moving nice and smooth. So that has to be the easiest little fix. One of these Dewalt SDS drills I've had for a while. Normally they're a lot more complicated. Not that they're a hard machine to work on. They're easy to fix up and they're quite affordable to fix. Is that down? There we go. It's just a torture with all these screws. That's the problem with working on these things. It's just unscrewing it and screwing it back together. Springs back in. Everything shoved in, get it closed up again, that'll do. You'd like to strip it apart and clean it, but there's no benefit in that. It's not going on display. It's going straight back to the boy who owns it, who's going to take it out and start using it again. Whatever you clean, it's just going to get dirty again. So just get her up and running, give her a quick clean down to make sure there's nothing wrong, give it a blow out on the inside. That's about as much as you need to do. Anything more is just costing the customer money for no reason. Line these up, make sure it's going in. Prise that back, pop it on. And that's it. Make sure these clip down. And that's it closed. And then just back to the screws. There's never grease in this chisel either. This tool holder is bone dry. Look. But it is clean. Just give that a quick wee wipe just to keep it good. I actually have seen these wee levers here. These wee parts deform the plastic, especially this wee lever here. The boy that locks it, and the wee boys here on the body break off. It actually locks it in position. Don't know how it happens, but I do know these can get fairly caked up with dirt, so just in case it's to do with dirt buildup. I just give them a quick wee clean down. Might need it, but I just do it anyway, just in case, if you see them wild dirty. And that's it. I should keep this hammering nice and smooth without even needing to replace any parts. Get to it soon before it develops a problem. Now, these don't have an awful lot of grease on them to start with, but if you put on too much, it can start to leak out into the motor, so probably just playing it safe, putting in that amount of grease. But that is it. If it goes weak at low speed, if it's not getting enough hammer, crack it open, get a bit of grease in there, and that should cure the problem and stop it from developing a bigger problem later. Give it a wee test now. There we go. You can hear it hitting at low speed and at fast speed. That's it. Simple as that. You don't often get these Dewalts on with that quick a fix. Normally there's a wee bit more damage. Luckily this man got it on time. Anyway folks, gonna leave it at that for the day. That's the whole shelf done. We'll see if we can get another shelf started the next time. But for now, that's gonna have to do. As always folks, thanks for watching. If you're enjoying the videos, make sure to hit that like and follow button down below. And I'll chat to you again the next time. Cheers folks.